haircut. Shit, dude, look, I came back all brown like. Can you see that Farmer John tan right there? That's that Costa Rican and Panamanian sun. What did I get over here? Check out my little souvenir that I got from Costa Rica. Pura vida. My thing that I got here from Panama. Fucking excellent. Alright, so that is that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a nice short video. This is BP the Mentor coming to you from AZ Flip Guys. Hey Wendy, thank you for joining us here. So as you guys can see, there's only one of us. There's only one flip guy here today. Chris has a meeting over at his entrepreneur organization. So I'm going to be taking over and I'm going to be doing the show here all by myself. I'm going to make it fairly quick, fairly short. It's been a really busy week. I flew in on Monday night. I was literally up for God knows how many hours and then went right back to it Tuesday morning. So it's just been nonstop over here. And you can see my eyes, man. I'm tired. So anyway, guys, just wanted to put this video out there and let you know about business systems. If you guys have been keeping up with the AZ Flip Guys, you guys know that I've been gone for the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks here, Chris has had, I believe he had Felix on 2 weeks ago, and then yesterday he was on, last week he was on with Paul. So anyway, for these last 2 weeks, I've personally been out of the country. I've been enjoying, I turned 35. Hey Orlando, thank you for joining us. John, how you doing, buddy? All the way from here. And I decided to go out of the country, which is something that I love to do. I love to travel. And I decided to spend 2 weeks over in Costa Rica and go down a little bit of time to Panama, Boca del Toro. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you guys haven't been to Costa Rica, highly suggest it. I've been meeting a lot of travelers, and Central America is by far one of the coolest, least expensive places to go travel. That goes all the way from Guatemala down to Ecuador. You can find all these cool places. You can find very inexpensive places. Costa Rica is actually the most expensive country in Central America, but nonetheless, for adventure, for scenery, for beaches, for food, for culture, highly suggest you guys go check out Costa Rica. Panama, beautiful also. Costa Rica was just amazing. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to give you guys a quick video and to let you know how I was able to go out, how I was able to stay for 2 weeks in a different country, do what I want, take the adventures that I wanted to. Money wasn't an option, and still be able to come back to a nice big fat check to have more money in my bank account than when I left. And that is something that I talk about all the time. That's something that we preach here over at the AZ Flip Guys. Hey John, man, I had an amazing vacation, amazing. Later on today or tomorrow, I'll post pictures of when I went whitewater rafting, and then I have the GoPro videos that my assistant Ebony is currently editing. So we'll be doing those for the Nomadic Hustler blog. But anyway, guys, I want to talk to you real quickly about business systems. Business systems. I am going to, do I have a fucking pen? Do I not have a pen? Okay, well, whatever. What I would suggest you guys to do is, if you haven't done it already, pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And yeah, I would suggest you guys read the book, but if you don't want to read the book, just look up what's known as the Cashflow Quadrant. And basically the Cashflow Quadrant is very simple. It's a cross. It's got 4 sections. On the left hand side of the quadrant, it's what's known as your entrepreneur, and that's your employee and self-employed section. Those are people that trade time for money. And that's what most of you guys do, including real estate investors, including other people that are out there working. They're always trading time for money. And if you're constantly trading time for money, if you're not here and you're not working, you're not making any money. But then the cash flow quadrant also talks about the right side of the cash flow quadrant, which is your business owners and your investors. Now, a lot of times people like us, people watching this video, get confused and call themselves a business owner. And in order for you to be a business owner, you must own what's known as a business system. So a lot of times we have what's known, as I said, on the left-hand side of the cash flow quadrant, you have your employees and you have your self-employed. And many times people that are self-employed like to call themselves business owners because they own their business, because they have an LLC. But I'm here to tell you guys that if you do not have a business system, you do not have a business. And a business system is a duplicatable, repeatable process that produces a profit. So it's something that you know you're going to do that's going to produce a profit. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. Now, if you guys have any questions about business systems in general, please let me know. If you have any questions about business systems when it comes to real estate investing specifically, please let me know, because that's one thing that I pride myself in is focusing on systems, 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 and systems. Because systems is what's going to allow me to go and travel the world. Systems is what allowed me to go spend 2 weeks out of the country and still make sure that my flips were going the way that they were supposed to go. Hey, Jonathan, thank you for joining us. Make sure that our flips were going that they were supposed to go. Systems is what allowed me to make sure that my investors' money was being secured correctly. Systems allowed me to continue my flips and even sell my flips, list properties, and do a bunch of other things that normally people would have to be in town to do. Business systems. And that's the point that I'm trying to get to you guys here, is you need to create a business system. You need to create a process of how your business works. Now I'm going to give you guys how I created my system. And this is not rocket science. This is just basic business information. But in business, especially real estate investing, I decided that I needed a business system. And what I did after reading the books and listening to the experts about business systems was write down the processes of my business. So me and my assistant Christina sat down one day and literally spent hours upon hours writing down from start to finish, from the point that I get the property to the point that I actually go ahead and rehab it and sell the property, and every single step that has to happen. Hey, Ebony, thank you for joining us. Do me a favor, share this video here. That would be greatly appreciated. So I wrote down every single step. I went from start to finish, and I wrote down every single step that needed to be done. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be done by me, but it needed to be done. So for example, everybody knows that you buy a house, an ugly house, you're going to fix it up. Now, if whoever fixes it, that house needs to be fixed. It could be me. I could take out my hammer. I could put on my hard hat. I could put on my tool belt and go back there and be Mr. Handyman and do all this stuff myself. I could, or I couldn't. Regardless of it, it needs to be done. Same thing goes with listing your property. Now, the property needs to be listed on the MLS in order to get the most exposure to sell it. But if it doesn't necessarily need to be done by me. And that's the point that I'm trying to get to you guys. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest things that I get as a real estate investor, particularly as an entrepreneur, but as a real estate investor, is people come up to me and say, hey, I want to do that real estate. I'm interested in doing real estate. I would love to do real estate. And there's usually two thoughts of mine. Either you have the female perspective, which is, oh, I love decorating. I love choosing out colors. I'd be great at staging a house. Oh, I would love to do a real estate investing because I know how to choose all the great colors and the great fixtures and everything like that. And then you have your male perspective, which is, hey, I know how to do construction. I know how to lay tile. I know how to do cabinets. I know how to do drywall. I know how to do landscaping. I'm going to do real estate, and I'm going to do that myself to save some money. And if your thought process is of that, you will always remain on the left side of the cash flow quadrant, which means that either you will be an employee, or in this case, you'll be self-employed. And you will always be tied to your business. So if you are the type of person that is going to save some money by doing the tile and the granite and the backsplash yourself, you will have to be here. You will have to be, in this case, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so I would have to stay in Phoenix. Hell, I couldn't even left, not even left the country. Hell, I couldn't even left my city because I would have had to been doing this business here. And that is trading time for money, guys. That is being on the left side of the cash flow quadrant. That is being self-employed. That means that you have to do the work, because if you don't do the work, it's not going to get done. What I am suggesting to you is to start looking at it from a different point of view. I will tell you this. If you're the type of investor that wants to do the work him or herself, if you want to be in there managing your project, choosing out your tile, choosing out your vanities, choosing out your fixtures, doing the colors, doing all of that stuff, choosing out the granite and all that other stuff, you can, and you probably will save a little bit of money. But in the long run, all you've done is enslave yourself into that business. And even furthermore than that, you've put a cap as to how much you can make. Because let's say that you're managing a project, right? Let's say that you're not actually painting and everything, but everything runs through you. So you got to choose the paint, you got to choose the tile, you got to choose the granite. Hey, Jonathan, thank you for joining us here. By the way, man, thank you for finally getting on Casey so he can do something about that land stuff. So we talk about that later. But anyway, guys, if you're the type of person that's managing your project, so you're a little bit better than the hands-on person, but you still needs to go everything through you, you are going to be boggled down. Now, even if you're not doing all the work yourself and you're running in between properties to check, you're going to be limited to about 3 or 4 properties going on at one time. Be running a Home Depot all the time, be checking, going on, having to deal with different subs, having to deal with different issues. And that right there, guys, that's going to boggle down your time. And at the end of the day, you may save some money per house, but somebody like me with the business system will be able to do just that much more houses. And I may not make as much per house, but overall, in general, because I'm doing bulk, I'm going to be making more money per month with a lot less effort. And that's the point of a business system, guys. A business system. When you go and you learn from somebody, so I'm going to use my good friend Jonathan over here for an example. Jonathan works with a business system. His business system was created by a man named Jack Bosch. Jack Bosch has proven this system and showed it how to buy land and sell land. And Jack Bosch then said, hey, I'm willing to show people my system. Somebody like Jonathan came in and said, hey, I don't even have to think outside of the box anymore. I just have to do what this guy did. He followed a system. He paid Jack to learn his system. That is what, when you go to these gurus, when you go to these educational classes, what they're teaching you is not the information. It's their system of how to do it. It's their system of how to market for properties. It's a system of how to flip properties. There's a system of how to find investors. There's a system on how to do this and how to do that. And that's where I want to really, really get on your guys' head today. Systems, systems, systems. Business systems, guys. I came back to a nice fat $60,000 check, amongst other checks, because of a business system. I could have stayed longer. There was nothing that required me to be back in town. Business systems. Right now, I'm currently moving up from the ARV of houses that we normally been. So here within myself, BP Industries, and the stuff that I've been doing with BP Industries, we've been around 200,000 and below ARV. So after repair value, which is what ARV stands for, ARV 200,000 and below, that's really about my bread and butter. Have been here throughout. Now, I recently just bought a property that's going to ARV somewhere between 300 and 350,000, depending on how the market keeps on going. Hey, Jeff, thank you for joining us here. So now that we're switching up the type of houses that we've done, had this been the same 200,000 or below property, I'd call my contractor, said, hey, here's what I want, here's what I need you to do, you figure out the colors, you figure out the backsplash, make sure that it sells, we're good to go. But being that this is a newer property and this is a bigger, higher end property and a higher dollar buyer, now we have to do a few more things. So now I had to come back into town, meet with my contractor at the property, say, okay, here's what I'm envisioning, here's what I'm looking to do, here's the budget that I'm looking to stay at. Why did I do that? Because in the future, that's going to be part of our system. For the next property that I flip that's going to be 300 to 350,000 ARV, we are going to know it's going to be part of our system. We're going to say, do it like we did that one property. In this particular case, is going to be the Fairmont property. I might look at it in the future and say, hey, do this other property that we just locked up, do it just like the Fairmont property, but I want this and this color instead. Hey, instead of adding that walk-in shower, let's do this, or let's spend a little bit more money on doing that. Or hey, I want to add an addition here or do an addition there. That is what I'm talking about, guys. Business system. Hey, Nadej, thank you for joining us here. Mr. Scott Morehouse, hey, buddy, how you doing? Good to see you up and about. Man, I'm so glad to have you on my side, and thank you for always supporting us here at the AZ Flip, guys. But business systems, guys. Business systems. Business systems. So me and my buddy Scott, we had a very good friend. Rest in peace, Vladimir. But Vlad used to live up in the Bay Area in California, San Francisco. Because it's so expensive over there, he couldn't flip a lot over there. So what he did was he maximized his money and took it over to the Midwest, where he had a business system, where he had systems with his contractors, where he had systems with his investors, where they all knew what was going on. So he could be living on halfway on the other side of the country, not dealing with the snow, but his system would be running his business. Hey, Mr. Jeff here. You see you have a friend that does remodeling. Hit me up if you're in need for some bids. Definitely. I will definitely keep you in mind there, Jeff. And here's the thing, guys, is I'm always looking for contractors, investors, wholesalers, other people that want to partner up and somehow get into the real estate business. I just had somebody send me a message that their friend has a few $100,000 that they want to get into the business. I'm going to talk with them. But guess what? They need to fit into my system. Into my system. Now, for example, my buddy over here said that he's got a friend who does remodeling. Great. Send them over. I'll talk with him as long as he's willing to work within our system and everything works for our system. Great. We can always implement more. If not, hey, nothing personal. Move on to the next one. I've met private money investors who want to lend me money. Because investors, just the same people that let me borrow money and I give them a great return, these are all investors. They all work within my system. So I met this couple out of San Diego. The guy was a doctor. No, I'm sorry, he was a dentist, and his wife was a nurse practitioner. Anyway, they had a lot of it. They had a lot of money. They were wanting to invest it. They said, hey, we want to invest with you, but we want to do this, and that. We want to be able to choose how the paint looks and everything. And I said, nope, time out. This does not work for me. I don't care how much money you guys have. That doesn't work for my system. Business systems, guys. Systems is what allows me to tell my investors, look them dead in the eye and say, this is what I can do for you, because I know for a fact. Systems is what allows me to say, yes, I'll take that property without having to go look at it, because I know that those numbers work, because I've done other properties within that neighborhood, within that same scope of work, within that same price point, that I know what I can get them, what I should get them for. Yes, we got to give a shout out to our buddy Vlad. Vlad was an amazing individual here, passed away at a young age, completely reminded us of why you need to live life to the fullest. But one of the things that I admired from our buddy Vlad was the fact that he had business systems that allowed him to flip properties. I believe he was flipping properties in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, and he lived in San Francisco. He was able to hang out with his beautiful wife. He was able to relax and be there for her and take her on trips and do all kinds of stuff while the business system was in other states maximizing his money. That is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Business systems, business systems, business systems. Here, what is Jeff? Doctors stay doctors and flippers know the bit. Let the masters work. Yes. It is crazy how that works, Jeff. It is ironic to see. So people believe that only because they have a little bit of construction skills or something, they can take on a flip. And actually, my very first flip that I ever did, I bought from a general contractor. So this guy had been working for an investor. He said, hey man, I could do this myself. We bought a few properties, got way in over his head on one of them, and had to liquidate the other one, which is where I came in and I bought the properties from him. But you also have people like this, like example doctors, people that have money and say, hell, I could do this myself. I just need a contract. I just need to hire a contractor. Everything's going to be great and they'll take care of it. No. You have to create a business system. And then you have to find people that run that system for you. So as I said, guys, the way that I created a business system is me and Christina sat down and we wrote down every single step, one by one by one by one, as to every single step that needed to happen for a real estate deal to get done. And then we went through the line and said, okay, which one of these needs to be done by BP Industries? Which one can be done by somebody else? So for example, the listing of the property, yes, I could go get my real estate license. Yes, I could save a few percentage points when I'm listing my property and maximize my things, but I don't, because I have a realtor that does for me. The benefit of having the realtor that does it for me is not only does he list it for me, but he takes care of all the crap. He takes care of all the buyers, all the tire kickers, all the BS crap, everything else that people come in. You know, most of the time when they send us what's known as the binzer, which is once you get a buyer, they say, hey man, here's a few things that we want you to fix, or here's what our inspector found that wasn't wrong. The sink was leaking, you had a leaky faucet, you know, the cabinets weren't screwed correctly, whatever. A lot of those times though, there's certain things that you should do, certain things that you shouldn't do. And that's where my realtor comes in. He's like, all right, this is valid, this is valid. They're asking for too much here, they're asking for too much there. When I say, hey, what should I list a property at? We just finished fixing it. The market has been going up a little bit more. Where do you think we should be listing it at? My realtor does that. Now, I can comp properties. I can get my MLS license. I can negotiate back and forth. But that's not the point, guys. The point is the business system. The business system will allow you to duplicate yourself. The business system will allow you to predict what is going to happen. The business system is going to allow you to say, hey, this based on this is this and this is going to happen. It makes it a whole lot easier, but more importantly, it gives you something far more valuable than money, which is freedom. 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 You see this right here, guys? You see this whole little section right over here? This is all from my travels. This is all from every time that I travel somewhere, I get a little knick-knack and I put it on there, in addition to having my fridge magnets, and then I have a little keychain collection. This right here, guys, has been possible because of business systems. None of this shit was here 2 years ago. It all has happened because of business systems. Because I've been able to put a system in place that will allow my business to continue running while I'm not here. And that's what I would highly, highly suggest you guys do. So when you're writing out your business system, when you're writing out your procedures and you go step by step of what needs to be done, you need to be putting these things in 3 categories. What needs to be done by me? Absolutely, there's nobody else that can do it. It has to be done by you. Number 2, what can be delegated? So if there's something that doesn't need to be done by you, for example, me listing my properties, could be done by me, doesn't need to be done by me. What can be delegated? And number 3, what can be eliminated? There's a lot of times where we have processes because we think that that's what we should do. For whatever reason, we as humans believe that if something is more complicated, then it's somehow more valuable. And you notice this with people's speech patterns. So if they're ever trying to say something and they want to make it seem more interesting or more important than what it really is, they'll add extra words or extra syllables to it. Well, the same thing happens in your business system. When people want to create, well, my job is this and that and blah, 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 just cut the bullshit. You know, when I meet somebody and they're like, oh, well, I am a customer service directive, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, so you sit on the phone all day. Let's cut the bullshit. Same thing goes with your business systems. Cut all the fancy names for it and what needs to be done. Mr. Transaction Coordinator, whatever. Can it be done by, does it have to be done by you? Can it be done by somebody else? Yes. Okay, well, does it have to be somebody in your office? Could it be done by a virtual assistant out in the fucking Philippines somewhere that you can pay $2 an hour? A virtual assistant out in India somewhere? A business system, guys. And then more importantly, what can you get rid of? If you don't have to do it, you don't have to do it. That oh my God. One of my biggest things was just completely letting go of my flip business. Deciding that I was never, ever, ever going to choose out tile or backsplash or color or trim or any of that shit. None whatsoever. Hey, Cedric, thank you for joining us, man. That right there was huge for me. Huge. Letting go control, not having to have my hand into every single decision that this company was making was huge. It allowed me to then focus on what I needed to do. And if you're a real estate investor, or you're looking to be a real estate investor, and by investor I mean flipper, if you're actually looking to buy, fix, and flip a property, you should be focused on two things: finding the money and finding the business, finding the deals. That's it. Everything else could be done by somebody else. My contractor knows how to flip the shit out of a house. He knows how to make it look nice. He knows how to keep it within budget. He knows how to deal with the fucking city. He knows how to get permits. He knows how to do all this stuff. Now, I know how to do all that stuff too, but I don't want to do any of this shit. Because he knows how to do all that stuff, I let him do it. But guess what? He doesn't know how to line up deals. He doesn't know how to line up money. That's where I come in. My realtor, same thing. They know how to list a property. They know how to comp MLS. They may not know how to line up money or line up more investment properties. And in these particular cases, these are examples both of my contractor and my realtor, who happens to be our buddy Chris Ontiveros here. He knows what he's doing when it comes to real estate. He knows how to do all this stuff, but I don't need to be doing it, and that's the point that I'm trying to make to you guys. You don't need to be doing it. And if you truly want freedom, focus on business systems. I would highly suggest to every single one of you who is serious about freedom, who is serious about entrepreneurship, who is serious about creating a business system, to read or listen to the audio tape, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Highly suggested. The E-Myth. You can probably find it online for free. I know I bought the book on fucking Amazon for like $10 or something. E-Myth. There is, in my experience, there's not been a clearer example of what the good side and the bad side of being an entrepreneur is, explained by the E-Myth. And the fact that this guy goes into example, and I believe he gives the example of a lady who starts a bakery and she's just fed up with the work. And a lot of it is because she was really good at baking, so she started a baking company. She started a bakery, and then she was baking all the time, and she was waking up early in the morning and going to sleep late at night, and eventually she dreaded going to fucking work and going to her shop that was her business. Well, that's what happens to a lot of flippers here. That's what happens to a lot of investors. A lot of people come in because they're passionate about real estate, because they know how to do construction, because they know how to take care and make the house look pretty, and do landscaping and colors and all kinds of shit. But then they get fed up because they're stuck. This passion now became it became a prison. Because you don't have systems in place, you are forced to then be there yourself. So instead of hanging out in Costa Rica for a week, going down fucking zip lining, then whitewater rafting, then ending up on a fucking beach somewhere, then going down to fucking Panama and scuba diving and hanging out, then coming back to fucking Costa Rica, hanging out for a few more days, coming back to town, flying out on fucking Sunday, meeting with high-level mastermind individuals here Monday, Tuesday, coming back on Wednesday, relaxing for about a week or so, then flying out to Cuba. You're stuck somewhere because you want to do it all your fucking self, guys. The E-Myth, highly, highly, highly recommended business systems, because if you do not own a business system, you are not a business owner. You are just self-employed. And yes, you might be making $5, $6, $10, $20,000 checks, but if you stop working, those checks stop coming in. You can't go out of the fucking country and come back to have more checks if you don't have a business system, guys. Business system. So anyway, man, that's all I gotta say today. Business systems, business systems, business systems. Last thing that I want to say before I get out, Together We Grow Phoenix. We're having an event May 28th, Cooling the Homeless. We're going to be meeting in downtown Phoenix. We're going to be passing out water. We have our little backpacks. Let me see here. So, have our little backpacks that we're going to be filling up with water bottles, sunglasses, a bunch of other stuff here that we're going to be giving out to the homeless population here in Phoenix. Ebony, do me a favor, put in that link in the bottom if you can for the event. Also the PayPal link. Anybody who wants to donate, we are a 501c3, so we are a 501c3 accredited nonprofit, meaning that anything over $100 will be a complete tax write-off for you. Any type of help would be great, and if you're locally here, like my buddy Cedric or Samara, you guys feel free to come and join us. Help us be the change that you wish to see. It takes you an hour or two of your time to come in, hand out some water bottles, but the change in these people's lives and the change in your lives will be fucking amazing. So anyway, this is BP the Mentor coming to you with AZ Flip Guys. Next week you'll have me and Chris back together. Remember, guys, that you want to flip for cash and you want to hold for wealth. BP the Mentor. See y'all later. Finish.